entertainment. Join us weekdays, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. right here on VOP TV. VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
All right, good morning to you. It's a brand new day, a brand new month, and this is how we keep to the tradition of wishing each other Happy New Month. That's a Nigerian thing, yeah? Because I haven't seen it, I haven't seen people in other parts of the world wish, each other Happy New Month, Happy Sunday, Happy Friday. We are just a happy people, aren't we? So, Happy New Month to you. It's February the 1st, 2024, and it feels good to be alive and well. Welcome to VOP this morning. I'm Moses Humphrey.
And I'm Fina Okechukwu. Good morning, Moses.
Happy New Month to you too, Fina.
I wish you the best of the month.
All right then.
All right, very good morning to you. My name is David Edwin. What a beautiful day, what a beautiful month. It is the 32nd day in 2024.
32nd?
Yeah.
Day.
Oh, okay. I get it. Oh well, it's a good day, and we're staying positive. David did say it's a beautiful month.
Yeah.
Speaking into it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Oh well, we're getting into the conversation this morning. We're talking security. You wouldn't say it's beautiful for those who have had one family member or the other kidnapped, or who have had to cough out exorbitant sums of money in the millions of it to secure the safety and freedom of one family member or the other. They wouldn't consider it a beautiful year or a beautiful time in their lives. But we just have to keep faith alive. And the president is saying, things are not as bad as the media is trying to make it look.
Well, interestingly, that is one of the major talking points this morning, where we are putting on security, kidnap, banditry, not as bad as journalists reports it.
So it's our fault now.
When I saw that, the thing just ring to my head. Okay,
it's the fault of the journalists. Are we overblowing?
And the likes is our fault.
So we seem to be overblowing it. Oh well, we'll talk about that when we get into the major talking points. We'll also be looking at the state of the nation. Tinubu decries labeling of Nigeria as cybercrime corruption hub. He's saying no. That's a difference from that's a bit different from the previous administration that tagged Nigerian youths lazy. So it's a bit different here. Well, we'll talk about this and more when we get into the major talking points on the show today. But in the meantime, let's take a look at the papers.
Okay. But before we get into the discussion, we encourage you to click on the subscribe button and subscribe to our page. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People TV, and on other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. Okay, just get there. Just click on the like button, and you just keep on getting more info from us, VOP people. Okay, and we have so many things to look at today. We have the dailies to look at before us, and we also have people in the studio, or persons in the studio that will join us in dissecting the matter that we have to talk about today.
All right, with us in the studio, we have Mr. Okpeoluwa Taiwo. He's a political enthusiast. He's a public affairs commentator. There's a whole lot more to him, but we'll talk about. I'll give you all of that when we come back from this break. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be getting into the conversation proper. We'll be getting into the papers first, and then to the conversation proper. Stay with us.
starts, make sure to look around for the right company to serve you everything you need to know about what's happening around you. That's why you need VOP this morning, because we will climb this far to give you a voice in what's going on, from news, reviews, politics and the economy, sports and even entertainment. Join us weekdays 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. right here on VOP TV. VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
All right, then, welcome back. So now let's get into the papers and let's reintroduce our studio guest. He's Mr. Okpeoluwa Taiwo, Executive Director, Africa Bridge Initiative, situated in Lagos, Nigeria. Well, good to have you with us in the studio.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me today.
All right, now let's dive into it. We're starting off with, we have a few dailies in front of us.
Let's just go straight to the Guardian newspaper,
All right.
where the banner headline here says, CBN frantically tightens news on banks' FX operations speculators. That seems to be an interesting one, like I always say. You find also there, EFCC traces 7 billion naira to religious bodies, alleged faith leaders laundering funds for terrorists. Monarchs killing. Oni, George, call for community policing, impute of ex-service chiefs. All right. Also on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, you find here 1 in every 10 extremely poor people live in Nigeria, says the World Bank. I take that again. 1 in every 10 extremely poor people live in Nigeria. So in other words, 1 in every extremely poor persons around the world stays and live in Nigeria. Also, you find here northern groups tackle Tinubu over withdrawal of 3 nations from ECOWAS. And there also you find reps sets December 2025 to deliver new constitution. That sounds like something pretty interesting, and we'll look into it anyways. Also you find here women protesters in Nasarawa to pay 500,000 naira bill after 12 days incarceration. And then finally, poor preparation, logistics stall student loan scheme. All of this you find inside the Guardian newspaper. Mr. Okpeoluwa, I don't know which of these headlines really tickles your fancy that you want to talk about.
All right, so for Nigeria, Nigeria is a fantastic nation.
Okay.
We have grown over the years, moving from one constitution reform to the another, and if we are saying we are looking at a new constitution, it's like we are saying we are starting the nation all over again. But since the rep has given us another hope that there might be a new constitution, well, let's believe that the constitution might want to take us to where we are going.
You kind of sound like you are not optimistic about
I'm
it.
not
Isn't that what Nigerians have been clamoring about?
Yeah, clamoring for a new constitution is good. But what are the process of having a new constitution? Do you have the referendum? Are the people ready to be part of the process?
The people themselves are calling for it.
The people are calling for it. It's one thing to call for a new constitution. Are you ready for the process?
Take us through the process quickly.
Okay, all right. We need referendum.
Okay.
We need to have the people representative at every local government.
Okay.
From each local government, there are various ethnic groups that must come from each local government.
Okay.
The question is the local government ready to foot the bill to bring these ethnic leaders together. Those are some conversation we should have. So you can see that it's a tall order.
It borders on the local government to foot the bill.
To foot the bill. And fortunately enough, the 7-7 local government in Nigeria just got the autonomy.
774.
All right, 774. Just got the autonomy. So what does that mean? That means the allocation is coming directly from the federal government, not going through the state government anymore. So something good is coming on the table of the local government. But another thing you must also understand, local government as of today is not local government.
But I think with the autonomy that they are getting now, they'll be able to perform better.
Two questions in one. Local government in Nigeria is not yet local government. Why? That will be the next question. When we talk about local government, we talk about, like I said earlier, we talk about the ethnic groups. We talk about the traditional rulers, not politicians. But as today, what we have is that we have some group of people called themselves politicians, took over the local government authority and running the local government authority according to their own ideology, not according to the composition of ethnic groups within that local government. So you can see, for Nigeria, the local government is supposed to be the closer or the closest
to the people.
But as of today, what do we have? Alienation. The local government officials, the executives, the legislative arms. Take for instance, somebody is living, is representing a particular local government in Amodofi. Where does he live? He lives at Ikeja local government. Is that not an irony? That is the situation we find ourselves. So you can see why I said that the local government we have in Nigeria is not yet the local government. You know, there's so many conversations that has to be done in terms of constitution. And it starts from the ethnic groups of each local government, not from the local government. So we are starting a conversation from each local government. What have we done? We have alienated some ethnic groups within that local government. So, you want a new constitution? Are we ready to bring together all the ethnic groups? That is where we should
start. Are you
from.
of the opinion that the reps at this point do not have an idea of what they want to delve into?
Absolutely. That you say I'm not optimistic about the deadline or the date they're giving us, talking about the end of 2025 to have the new constitution. Okay. I'm very sure they do not understand what they are delving into. Because, like I usually say, you might not understand until you understand. Okay. So they need to understand for them to understand where they're going for the new constitution.
All right then. Now let's get into another paper now. I'll be touching on the Vanguard newspaper. From the Vanguard newspaper, the banner headline here is on the CBN. The banner headline reads, CBN clamps down on banks, pegs trade assets in Forex. Pegs NOP at 20% of as shareholders of shareholders funds. Measures expected to boost liquidity. Banks compliance may lead to Naira appreciation. Analyst, Naira down to 1,490 Naira to $1. Appreciates in official market. All right. Underneath the banner headline, we have EFCC battles religious sect over 13 billion Naira money laundering for terrorists. On top of the nameplate, we have Otedola takes over First Bank as chairman. Ekiti kidnap. Ondo, Amotekun deploys 100 personnel, parades 31 suspects. Bandits kidnap 2 sisters in Abuja, demand 30 million naira ransom. EFCC investigating ex-minister Sirika over Nigeria air deal. Kiyamo. Northwest governors rule out negotiation with terrorists. Okay. And the president says the media is not as bad as the media is making it look. Okay. And then we have a Victoria here that talks about EFCC launching fraud risk projects. All right. Well, these are the headlines from the Vanguard newspaper for today, the first day in February 2024. How do you react? which stories would you say interest you the most?
You know, as someone who has played around within the commercial bank, at least in the last 10 years, I could understand that when we say the naira is being appreciated to maybe 1,490, you know, the next question you ask yourself is he actually appreciating or is dancing? The naira as a currency for today is not appreciating. We shouldn't deceive ourselves. It's not appreciating because that figure is not sustainable. Why? In the next 1 hour, you hear that naira is now 1,006. So why are we saying that naira is being appreciated?
So what would you attribute all of this to? Because it's quite interesting that, yes, you've just mentioned you've been around the bank for a while. What would you attribute all of this inconsistency to?
Now, in the financial market, you must understand that there are invisible hands that runs the economy. Now, when you talk about the invisible hands, what do you mean by invisible hands?
Speculators and
The speculators, the investors, and some bulls and some bears within the industry. For instance, when you bring $1 billion into the economy, don't forget, every investor is coming in with the mind of what? Profits. So I'm not coming in to bring $1 billion as a charity. So the question is the economy viable enough to multiply that $1 billion into $2 billion in the next 1 year? The answer is no.
Okay.
So each investor is now looking for the alternative to make a what?
Profit?
Unsustainable profit. At the expense of the market. At the expense of the consumers.
Oh, wow.
So that's why we say we have what? The invisible hands within the market.
There's no way that can be controlled? There's no way that can be controlled?
It's possible it can be controlled. But unfortunately, the CBN is a bit nonchalant about controlling the system. It might be for political reasons, or economic reasons, or one way or the other, reasons best known to them.
All right,
so
now
as of today,
the
naira is not appreciating.
No, it's not. It's not, undoubtedly so. Well, the story about EFCC battling a religious sect over 13 billion naira money laundering fraud for terrorists, the EFCC said they were investigating 13 billion naira money laundered, and they were able to trace about 7 billion of it to a church. But unfortunately, before they could go into probing the church secured a stay, preventing a court order preventing the EFCC from probing its activities. I mean, can the question on the mouth of a lot of Nigerians is, can the EFCC probe into the activities, the monetary activities of religious organizations? That's the question. It's a religious organization, not a church. A religious organization. I don't know which one it is actually. Can the EFCC probe? Can the EFCC look into monies that come in and go out from religious organizations?
All right. So as of today, the EFCC is looking like waking up to its responsibility one way or the other, going by the new leadership of EFCC. But in the past, unfortunately, we have EFCC leadership being accused of corruption itself. It's a dilemma and it's also an irony on itself. So what do we have? Can EFCC probe into the activities of religious organizations? The answer is yes. But the process is different from normal organizations. Because when we talk about registration, we talk about the Karma Act. All right? Then when we talk about registration of organization, we talk about the limited enterprise, we talk about the incorporated trustee. Then even the religious organization also falls under the incorporated trustees. All right? But based on the kind of constitution we have in Nigeria and the law of the nation, which is somehow is porous, some of us have to dance around the constitution saying that the religious organizations should be excluded from the totality of the incorporated trustee, even though they were registered as what? Incorporated trustee. How did 7 billion get into the account of such?
Couldn't it be free donation?
religious organization.
Couldn't it come from free donation?
It could be donation. Now,
It
in
could
the
be
transaction,
could also be accumulation of offering and tithes.
it could also be accumulation of offerings, so to say, in quotes. But when we talk about offering, there are different categories of offering. If, for instance, in your own organization, you have 3 levels of contribution or donations. This particular fund coming into your organization, under which category does it belong? There must be a category. It's a must. You know, we should not be deceived by religion.
But there's no way for them to run it. It's not like an organization where you say everything must be there.
Well, it has to be.
They can decide to give it a name, and that is what it
No.
answer.
No, you can't just decide to give it a name. It must have a name. If I'm giving to a particular mosque in Nigeria, am I giving for the building project? Am I giving for the imam? Am I giving for the community project being delivered by the mosque? It must be have a name. And that is why I said that while I was in the bank, when you credit an account with a particular amount, there's something we call narration. What is that fund meant for? Is it for donation? Is it for community outreach? Is it for building projects? There must be a category. That's what we are saying. And that is why, for now, I'm not too comfortable with EFCC.
Okay.
And why am I not too comfortable with EFCC? EFCC should be working closely with CBN. EFCC should be working closely with commercial banks.
Okay.
As of today, when you have 5 million naira deposit into my account, 1 naira above 5 million, there should be red flag from EFCC. It doesn't mean that I'm a criminal, but there should be a red flag according to the law of the land as of today. And if you're having above 10 million, 20 million into a corporate account without adequate narratives or narrations, there should be a red flag by the CBN to the EFCC. So when there was no red flag, how come suddenly EFCC just waking up to its responsibility? You can imagine accumulated fund up to 7 billion. Something's wrong somewhere. And we must find out who is fooling who. Is EFCC fooling CBN or is commercial bank fooling EFCC? Something is wrong somewhere.
Okay, something is wrong somewhere, you say. We'll have to move straight down to the Punch papers. And from the Punch today, let's look at the window story. That's from top to bottom. This says Tinubu directs AGF and Lopobiri to end the $1.3 billion oil block dispute. And we have another story that says, still on the window story, that says that shareholders excited as Otedola becomes FBN holding chairman. And the other story says abductors flogged Ekiti school children preparator, and that is actually on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And the lead story, which is about a headline, says that CBN orders banks to sell excess dollars in 24 hours. It has a rider that accompanies that. So it says banks may sell over $5 billion, says officials. Cardoso faces Senate Tuesday over Naira fall. And we have a pictorial, and there's a Punch that says the House of David loses a multi-million naira Lagos church to fire inferno. And beneath that pictorial, we have a story that says EFCC probing Nigeria air deal, Keyamo. Ekiti Obas threatened to invoke Yoruba gods against kidnappers. And last but not the least of the story says Makinde gives companies with explosive 72 hours ultimatum. And, you know, I'm happy that we're talking about EFCC, we're talking about central bank, and we're talking about commercial banks and all that before we get into the Punch newspaper. Now, my question is, looking at what CBN order, how they order the bank to sell off the dollar, the excess dollar that they have, you know, and all that. CBN, do you think they have any measures to check the people who actually buy off those dollars and all that? Because if the dollar gets into the wrong hands too, I think it can actually still lead to hoarding and all that.
Fantastic. I love that question. Fantastic question. In fact, you read my mind. It is not sustainable for you to order commercial banks to sell excess forex within 24 hours. You are giving rooms for the black market. The commercial banks will not or might not be monitored within that process. So what do you think will happen? they might end up selling to the black market.
But I think they are looking
Do you understand that?
Yeah, I do.
Do you understand me? That means they might end up selling to the black market maybe at 1,000 naira per dollar. And the black market will resell at what? 1,006 naira to the consumers. So we can see that we are still back into the same quagmire that we are in.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
All right, now quickly, what's your take on Ekiti Obas threatening to invoke Yoruba gods against kidnappers?
Well, I'm a Yoruba man.
Should they be threatening, or should they just go ahead and do it?
I'm a Yoruba man. They shouldn't be threatening. They shouldn't be threatening the nation. They should have done that before now. They should have done that. So, you know,
they should have
done that before now. And, well, I may not be able to say some things in that regard on here. But you should know, as a Yoruba man, that for now, based on the irregularities of traditional rulers, I will say that for now, the gods are not to be blamed.
Oh.
Usually, that's your parting shot. But I would love to hear those things that you don't want to say. I mean, come on, let's just
now, when I say
there.
that the gods are not to be blamed, who abhors the set? How did the foreigners, kidnappers, enters my domain without my permission?
Is that the fault of the Obas? Or is that
It is the fault of the Obas.
How so?
Where some of us grew up in the village, no foreigner comes to an area without the knowledge of the valleys.
This is a civilized economy.
That is where we got it wrong. Civilization does not permit you from having adequate data. So even the Obas, the valleys, are not excluded from having data at their palace.
Okay.
That is what we are talking about.
All right then.
You do not. I have a friend who got into Canada last year. Immediately entered Canada. He had a wife and a kid. Immediately, the authority came visiting.
Documented him.
Immediately, the documentation starts from the first day. Young man, your kid had to go to school. Your wife has to be in social area working or doing this. And this is things you have to do. So you can see that what? From the first day, documentation starts. So the data is there. So if anything goes wrong in the next 24 hours in that particular vicinity, who will be the first suspect? My friend in Canada will be the first suspect.
Because he just
That's what we're talking about. So we can't be excluding the Obas from data gatherings and collation within the community.
All right then. Thank you very much, Mr. Okweoluwa Taiwo, who is the Executive Director, Africa Bridge Initiative. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll be delving into, the talking points for today.
And
we'll be looking at kidnapping, banditry, not as bad as journalist reports. That's coming from the presidency. Well, we'll look at that when we come back from this break. Stay with us.
When your morning starts, make sure to look around for the right company to serve you everything you need to know about what's happening.